Long-term rentals. This is when you buy a property and rent it out for a year or more. You make rent and pay expenses like a mortgage, taxes, insurance, property management fees, utilities, and money to the side in case if something goes wrong. Whatever's left over is known as cash flow. You also make money as the house goes up in value over time, as your mortgage gets paid down by rent, and reducing your taxes. To do this, you typically need 20 to 25% down on a house. So on a $100,000 house, that's $20,000 to $30,000 with closing costs. This is good for beginners and is more active up front but more passive over time. Turnkey rentals. This is similar to long-term rentals, but instead of you finding the house yourself, you work with a turnkey company. They find the houses, they fix it up for you, and then you buy it and use them as a property manager. You need 20 to 25% down for this. This is great for beginners and more passive because it takes a lot of the work out for you. Build to rent. This is when you buy land, build a house on it, and rent it out like a long-term rental. First, you find the land, get permits, and get a builder. Then get the construction loan, build the house on it, and then rent it. You need cash for the land, but then if you use a construction loan, you typically don't need to put more down. This is good for some riskier beginners or intermediates. It's about as active as long-term rentals in the beginning, but over time, less active as the house is new and needs less repairs. Section 8 investing. This is a type of long-term rental investing where the government pays all or most of the rent for the tenant. You first apply with HUD, and then HUD will inspect the house to make sure it's livable. This can get you guaranteed rents from the government, but can lead to wear and tear in your properties over time. You need 20 to 25% down, and it's more passive once good tenants are in place. It's good for riskier beginners. Medium-term rentals. This is when you buy a house to rent it out for greater than a month, but typically less than a year. You buy a property in really high-demand spots, fix it, furnish it, and then rent them on leases, usually month to month or multiple months at a time. You probably want to be an intermediate for this because you need to make sure the area has the demand for this. Otherwise, you can be vacant and requires more work upfront to furnish. You need down payment for the property, about 20 to 25%, and then 10 to 20K to furnish the property after that. It's also slightly more active than the long-term rentals because of your turnover increasing. Rent by the room. This is usually a type of medium-term rental where you rent out each bedroom of a house individually instead of the whole house together. Because you rent out each bedroom individually, you can charge more per bedroom, usually resulting in 10 to 30% higher rent if all the bedrooms are rented. This is good in high-growth areas where people don't have friends and family, so they live on their own in a house with others to save money instead of getting a one-bedroom. Buy a house near a college or high-growth area, market it on Facebook by the bedroom, and rent it out. This is for intermediate investors because it can be slightly more risky with higher vacancy and slightly more active because of management issues when the people don't know each other. Short-term rentals. This is when you buy a property to rent out for typically less than 30 days, but at least one day at a time. Because you rent by the day, you might be able to make more per month than long-term or medium-term rentals. You buy a property with 20 to 25% down in a vacation area, fix it, and furnish it, then rent it out on Airbnb or Vrbo. The furnishing and finishes usually need to be a bit better than medium-term rentals. I recommend this for riskier beginners or intermediates who want more active play than long-term rentals with potentially higher cash flow. Rental arbitrage. This is a type of medium or short-term rental where you don't buy the property. You reach out to the landlord who is trying to rent out their property. You tell them you'll rent it for a year or more, but you'll sublease it by putting it on Airbnb. The landlord is happy because they have someone who pays them rent on time and sometimes upfront. You make the money on the difference between the rent you pay and what you make on Airbnb. The cons of this strategy is that you typically don't own a property. It just makes you cash flow. It's more riskier for beginners or intermediates who want to be more active than passive. Hourly rentals. This is when you buy a property and rent it out by the hour, usually with some special use cases like retreats, meeting spaces, or podcast studios. You buy the property using 20 to 25% down and put it on Peerspace to rent it out by the hour. This can be done by riskier beginners or intermediates in niche areas. The BRRRR strategy. This stands for buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. This is advanced because it actually combines two strategies in one, flipping and rentals. You buy a house that needs work, usually with cash or a fix and flip loan, where you put 10 to 20% down. Fix it up, rent it out, then instead of selling the property, you refinance it to pay off the fix and flip loan. The money you get back should pay off the loan and give you some, if not all, your down payment back. And this process usually happens within 6 months. This is an intermediate or advanced strategy and is more active than rentals because you're managing a flip first, and it will be harder to find properties that meet this criteria. Fix and flip. This is when you buy a home, fix it up, and sell it for a profit. Your profit is calculated by taking what you will sell it for minus what you bought it for, minus how much the work costs, minus closing costs when you buy the property and sell it, minus the money it costs to hold it, like taxes, insurance, utilities, and interest. And whatever's left over is your profit. You usually can buy these with cash or short-term loan, like a fix and flip loan, which are 10 to 20% down. This is good for beginners if they know how to calculate the cost of fixing a house. Otherwise, I would put this as intermediate. Land flipping. This is when you buy land in high growth areas and resell it without usually doing anything to it. You just need the cash to buy the land and the money to hold on to the property over time while it grows. This can lead to lots of speculation because you don't know if home prices can go up or not. This is good for intermediate investors who want to be pretty passive and are also risky. Land subdividing. This is when you buy large plots of land and split up the land into multiple sellable lots. You get the necessary permitting and zoning done so you could sell them for a profit. This is more advanced and active as you need to be comfortable understanding the laws of the area and you need the cash to buy the land. Build to flip. This is just like build to rent, but instead of renting it out, you flip it. This is the most passive form of flipping if you get a builder to do the work, so it can be a riskier beginner strategy. House hacking. This is when you buy a duplex, triplex, or quadplex, you live in one apartment and rent out the rest to cover your costs. This is a great strategy for beginners because you put little down, 0 to 5%, then you could stop paying rent while getting hands-on landlording experience. It's more active if you manage the property yourself though. This can be combined with rent by the room in a single-family house where you live in one bedroom and you rent out the other ones. Live in, then rent. This is when you buy a house to live in first, then you rent it out when you move out. It's for beginners and is one of the slowest and cheapest ways to build wealth as you will put little down on each house and take time between buying them. And it's pretty passive, but it is active to move every year or so. Live in flip. This is when you buy a property to live in for 2 years, fix it up while you're there, then hold on to it for 5. You sell it without paying any capital gains tax on the first $250,000 if you're single or $500,000 if you're married, taxes. This is great for beginners to learn because of low down payment and things are being fixed up while there to gain experience. Wholesaling. This is a strategy where you flip the contract to buy a house. It's more like a business, not actually investing, but here's how it works. You find someone who needs to sell their house, like someone who's going through a divorce, a family member died, there was a fire, or they're about to get foreclosed on. You use a website like PropStream. Create a list of these people, then do skip tracing, which helps you find their name and phone number. You call them, text them, and mail them. Most people don't respond, but there will be some that do, and you can convince them to sell you their house within weeks, all cash. Let's say you get them to sell it $100,000. You then go find a list of investors and call them to sell the house for $110,000. You make $10,000 for connecting the two. You don't need much money to start, but more money obviously helps. Wholetailing. This is like wholesaling with some flipping combined. You might buy the house as a wholesaler first, then trash out the property, getting it ready for rehab, and this allows you to sell it for more than you would had you had just wholesaled it and potentially sell it quicker, but requires more experience and help than wholesaling does. Private money lending. This is when you give your money to an investor to fix and flip a house. You literally become the bank. If they don't pay the mortgage, you are a first position lien holder, which means you can foreclose on the house. You charge 10 to 15% interest on these loans. This is not for beginners, but advanced people who want to be more passive because all you need is the cash for a house and do the work up front. Hard money lending. This is very similar to private money lending, except it is more when a company does it with many investors at the same time. As an investor, it's easier to find a hard money lender than it is to find a private money lender. Real estate note investing. This is when you buy discounted mortgages from a bank on a property to collect the payments, making you the bank. They can be performing, which means the borrower is paying you. Or if they are non-performing, that means they are behind. If they don't pay you, you get to foreclose. Tax lien investing. This is when you bid at a government auction for a certificate to buy a house. You pay the taxes for the person, and then you collect interest from the person up to 18%. Or if they don't pay it back in a certain amount of time, which is different state by state, you get to foreclose on the house, and it's yours. REITs, or real estate investment trusts. This is when you invest in a trust that owns and manages properties and you collect dividends. You don't actually own any real estate. You do this through the stock exchange. They give you 90% of their profits as dividends, so it can be great for people who are into stocks and want to be in real estate but don't want to actually own any real estate. You need little money to start, and it's very passive and beginner friendly. Real estate mutual funds and ETFs. This is when you own shares in a group of stocks that are holding REITs. So instead of holding one REIT, you might hold a group of REITs at the same time, which is a great way to diversify and hold for the long term and very beginner friendly. Real estate syndications. This is when a company raises money from you and a bunch of other people to invest together in larger properties, usually commercial ones. Now, usually you need $25,000 to $100,000 to invest in some of these, and for a lot of them, you need to be an accredited investor. Depending on your syndication, you might have some equity in the property, and you will likely get some more payouts over time. Usually, I recommend people understand real estate first, so this is for intermediates mostly who want to be passive and have extra money to invest. Real estate crowdfunding. This is similar to syndications, but instead, you use an online platform that pools people's money together, and you get returns in proportion to what you put in. This can be very passive, and some of these allow you to invest with as little as $1,000, so it can be great for beginners. Delaware statutory trusts. If you own a property and you sell it, you can avoid taxes using a 1031 exchange. When you do this, you must select where you invest your money into. Now, most people want to invest in properties that they select, but for some reason, if you don't invest within the time frame required, you have to pick a backup option. And so their money gets invested into a Delaware statutory trust, which basically just manages the property and you invest in passively like a syndication. So this is for advanced investors because you typically are selling a property that you owned for a few years before you even think about getting into one of these. If you like this video, watch the next one on screen.